Process that number. 52,000 crores, viewers. The 6 guarantees he promised to the people of Telangana before assembly election has cost the Congress-run Revanth Reddy state government 53,196 crores. Between two states, viewers, 1 lakh crores, not an insignificant number. Some of the central government's biggest schemes are about worth that much. Both states are creaking under the burden. The third state, Himachal, where Congress is also in power, is teetering on the verge of economic ruin brought on by a crushing debt crisis. For the first time in its history, the state government couldn't pay pensions or salaries of its own employees on time. 5 days have passed. We are being told that tomorrow the payment will be made. At least the salaries will be paid out. And on the 10th, yes, on the 10th, viewers, pensions will be paid out. There's panic among the state government employees and pensioners who don't know how they will pay back their loans. The Union of Secretariat Employees is begging banks to not take punitive action for missing EMI deadlines. It's a massive embarrassment for the Congress party. Himachal has an estimated debt of 87,788 crores, friends. And that is expected to balloon to almost 1 lakh crore by next year. Because of this burden, these salaries have not been paid out, the pensions haven't been paid out. The Chief Minister, ministers are to forego their salaries for 2 months. The Chief Minister has also urged all MLAs in the state to relinquish their salaries. 2 lakh salaries to 2 lakh government employees are delayed, held up. Nearly 1.5 lakh pensioners await their pension. These are the large numbers. The BJP has been unsparing in its criticism of the Congress party. Economic experts have also weighed in, saying that the Congress party's 10 guarantees are primarily responsible for the state's mounting burden of debt. The Congress promised free electricity, a revert to the fiscally unsustainable old pension scheme, income support including a payout of rupees 1,500 per month to women in the state. Just do the additions, viewers. Do the maths. The so-called freebies were avoidable, given that the state's finances were not in a good shape to begin with. But viewers, when politicians, and I'm not trying to only single out the Congress here, viewers, so don't get me wrong. Whether it's the AAP or the BJP, they've also made their own promises at different times. But the reliance on this guarantee model has become pretty much the Congress's go-to card. Exclusive to the Congress, so to speak, viewers. And while it pays rich dividends electorally, it does ruin financially. The crisis in the state of Himachal has expectedly triggered a massive war of words. Sukhvinder Sukhu has come out and said that the freebies by former BJP government impacted the economy. To this, Jairam Thakur, the former Chief Minister, the BJP Chief Minister, says, stop blaming others for financial crisis, take some responsibility. The Congress CM says BJP government looted the public's treasury. Jairam Thakur, the former CM, as I told you, says Congress raised loans worth rupees 24,000 crores. That's the fundamental problem. Sukhvinder Sukhu says BJP government gave free electricity and water. Jairam Thakur says the khatakhat model of Congress is ending. It has brought the state to this juncture. They should have been a lot more pragmatic. It's not just salaries and pensions, but the Congress that swears to serve women, STs and SCs, tribals and Dalits, Kisan, has cut allocations to critical welfare programs. This proves that freebie culture in the long term impacts the most vulnerable the most. Friends, here is some statistical hard facts for you. Health and family welfare budgetary allocation down by 3% over the last year. The schemes under this head are aimed at women and children. Another hard fact. Social welfare nutrition budgetary allocation cut by a whopping 15%, friends. Schemes under this head are designed for STs and SCs and other backward classes. Another hard fact. Agriculture and allied activities spent down by a significant 9%. Who loses out is self-explanatory. Urban development allocation in budget cut by a massive 32%. Quality of life of the Aam Aadmi will undoubtedly suffer. A large number of them live in big towns, in urban centres. Introducing the OPS among other Rahul Gandhi guarantees meant that the state's debt has accumulated to around 86,589 crores, as I just showed you. Here are the hard facts that prove that the situation has deteriorated most after the Congress began ruling the state a couple of years ago. Overall debt in absolute terms for Himachal Pradesh since Sukhu took over has jumped 25.98%, almost 26%. Whereas the cumulative debt since 2020-21 has been 58.33%, viewers. So half that debt has come in just the last 1.5 years. The per capita debt in Himachal stands at rupees 1.17 lakh per person, making it one of the highest among states in the country. The Congress Sukhu government says that the centre hasn't provided loan support. Here are some hard facts that show otherwise. Sukhu government got rupees 8,215.7 crores from the centre in 2024, whereas the BJP's own Jairam Thakur government got only rupees 1,000 crores in 2020. The NDA looked after Sukhu more than it looked after its own Chief Minister Jairam Thakur. Perhaps that's why he ended up losing. But viewers, jokes aside, it's a very serious debate, because if this model is going to be the go-to model, not just to win elections but also to implement, because after all, even the Supreme Court has come out and said that you cannot make empty promises. And I'll get that quote out for all of us viewers in just a few moments. But let's get the debate started, because it's an important subject. Let me first begin with Tehseen Poonawalla. P.K. Basu, senior economist, Anand Ranganathan also there with us, and of course Guru Prakash Paswan. But I want to first frame this argument by getting in the supporters for the Congress party. Tehseen Poonawalla, look, I've shown some statistics, you can't throw them out of the window. At best you can say, look, the state was already in the dumps when we got it, so what do you expect us to do? You could have been a lot more. To that, some people have said you could have been a lot more careful, pragmatic with your expenditure. You could have tightened the purse strings. You could have actually turned things around. But the Congress chose to, sorry to say this, throw these freebies, raveries, call them what you want to sort of buy their votes, quote unquote. That's what a lot of people are saying. Do you think this should have been done? And do you think this model applied across Karnataka, where they felt the pinch, as you know, and Telangana, where they will soon feel the pinch, if not already, is ruinous? Is this the economic model that we are going to expect from the Congress if and when they win the election at the centre, Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla?
At any given parameter, you compare the Congress government with the BJP government, Vajpayee with Manmohan Singh ji with Modi ji, and you will see that the Congress government has been much better economically than any of these BJP governments who don't know. You know what was Vajpayee ji's average growth, you know what was Modi ji's. Now let's come to the states. Obviously the debt is about 86,000 crores at the moment, heading towards 95,000 crores in Himachal. They inherited a debt of 75,000 crores. Nobody talks about that. Why? Where is the 13,000 crore rupees due from the centre from June 2022?
I'm sorry, you got your figures a little wrong, but I'll let that pass. Finish your argument. Yes.
No. Just 73,000 crores. The chief minister has been on record. Yeah, of course.
Right.
The chief minister has been on record. 73,000 crores was the debt inherited by the Congress.
Right.
It is 85,000 crores. 13,000 crores is due from the center. The center has refused to give the disaster money, which is the right of the state to get. It's suffered a terrible disaster. It's not got it. And even the GST dues from 2022 has not been cleared by the center so far, once the government changed. Why is it that all opposition governments, particularly Congress government, but even Kerala, which is the left government, have to go to the Supreme Court to get the legitimate right of their GST dues? That is the problem. The center does selective politics. And even in my state of Maharashtra, where there is a BJP government, not only are we short charged on GST, our projects are taken and put elsewhere. That is the problem. The BJP is absolutely anti-federal structure, and the center doesn't release the funds of the state governments that are governed by the opposition party. The 13,000 crore rupees is due as of yesterday. Why is that money not there in the state coffers? Nobody's answering that question.
Let me very quickly go back to the figures, viewers, because this is important. As I said, that since Mr. Sukhu has come into power, and I put those figures out there, the overall debt in absolute terms for Himachal has jumped by over 25.98%, almost 26%, quarter, in just the last 1.5 years, viewers. These are striking numbers. If you keep going at this rate, it will reach that number, 96,568 crores by next year, viewers.
That's the number I give you.
And there is no question of rolling back. Mr. Sukhu's quite made it clear, except that he's cutting corners here and there from those who are most marginalized. Now, let me bring in PK Basu. PK Basu, the blame again has been pinned straight onto the lapels really of Prime Minister Modi, as it always is. How do you respond to this?
Well, I think first of all, it's important to understand that the old pension scheme that was reintroduced in Himachal Pradesh is ruinous. And the person saying this is Montek Singh Ahluwalia, and Manmohan Singh has said it too. Reintroducing the old pension scheme is ruinous. Now, the important aspect of this is that it is ruinous to the future of the state. It won't immediately ruin things, but it will ruin it over the long term. The next government will bear an enormous burden. Now, as you look at the current situation, the rapidity with which the debt of the state of Himachal Pradesh has increased is striking. A, and B, in the last 2 years, the fiscal deficits have been far above what is permissible for the states. The RBI norm is that each state's fiscal deficit should not exceed 3% of gross state domestic product. In the case of Himachal Pradesh, that has been exceeded by a very large margin. It's been 4.5%, 5%, 6% of GDP. So it is extremely fiscally profligate. Now, I think Tehseen Poonawalla just claimed that the performance of the Manmohan Singh government, his typical line that Manmohan Singh government was very, very, very good, etc. Now, why did they get voted out? Let me just point out that Manmohan Singh inherited a current account surplus for 2.5 years under Vajpayee. By the time he left, India was a fragile 5 economy with a current account deficit of 5% of GDP in FY 2013. So this is not a stellar performance by any means. And in particular, there's something called the fiscal deficit. The national fiscal deficit ballooned under Manmohan Singh as well, and the economy decelerated sharply. So let's not get into this thing about going back to Manmohan versus Vajpayee versus Modi. There is no doubt that the fastest 5 years of any real GDP growth and real per capita GDP growth of any full prime ministerial term is the first prime ministerial term of Modi. 2014 to 2019, India grew faster than in any previous prime ministerial term. That is the simple.
I cannot believe you're allowing this, Rahul.
But that is irrelevant.
Look,
that is
Tehseen,
irrelevant.
you
First of
want
all,
to go back to
Tehseen Poonawalla,
Nehru, we
you don't
can
know
go
the
back
fact-
to
you don't
Nehru.
know the statistics.
The fact
I'm sorry
of the,
to say,
yeah, the statistics
we can
don't
start
lie.
with Nehru.
The statistics
start with
are there.
Nehru, we can go-
Now, I can't understand.
I would like a right to
The
rebut.
statistics
No,
are
one
there.
second,
Now,
one
the
second,
point
one
is that
second,
we
one
now
second.
must focus on
You cannot just
Himachal.
whitewash
The
it
fact
and lie
that
on
old
national
pension
TV.
scheme is being introduced in 3 states.
No, on what basis are you saying? Were we not a fragile five economy? Weren't we declared as one? Yes or no?
Okay.
Yes or no, Tehseen?
May I
Tehseen
please be allowed
Poonawalla,
to
yes or
speak?
no?
No.
No,
So
we
now
weren't
please allow me
declared.
to speak.
We weren't
The person
declared a
lying
fragile
down
five
to
economy.
The BJP was
Okay,
not declared.
let me pull it
Please
out
That is
now.
irrelevant. First, we are here
Please
to
allow me
discuss
to speak.
Himachal
Allow me to give
Pradesh.
numbers.
Let us get to
It's a very
Himachal
unfair
Pradesh.
debate.
Let us
Somebody
get
gives
to the
lies
states
out.
that have introduced the old pension scheme.
Let's give the lies out, and I'm not allowed to fact check. I'm 1
Listen,
versus 3.
listen, one second. Just a minute.
Can I
Mr.
please
Poonawalla,
be
if you
allowed
can
to-
fact check
to give
us
numbers?
on the Himachal story, it would be great. I don't have all the time.
He went on the Manmohan Singh numbers, which are a lie.
Well, because you brought them up and he fact checked you. Now you
No,
want to
you
cook
brought
up
them
some
up
more
and I
numbers.
fact
You
checked
don't
you,
even
bro,
want to.
and
You
I'll
don't
fact
even
check.
want to. You don't even want to admit that the fragile five tag was also put. Now, hang on 1 second. Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. So let's open this up.
I would like to clarify one thing.
You know,
Just like
Morgan
two
Stanley
clarifications.
coined
Just
the
please.
term fragile five to represent emerging market economies, and unfortunately, one of them was India. I mean, why are we running away? Why are we running away with this? Running away from this? I mean, it's a known fact. Dr.
May I please be
Ranganathan,
allowed
I
to
mean,
speak?
are we going to blame now?
In a 1 versus 3, you won't allow me to speak.
But Tehseen,
He's
how
wrong
are
on the old pension
you
scheme.
want to take this? You want to take this debate? I
He's
mean,
wrong. Manmohan Singh's GDP growth was higher than Modi. By far. Modi changed the GDP calculation figure only to show a higher growth rate.
So viewers,
And
there
even
you
by the
go.
old Pakistan figure,
Change that
if you cover
metrics. You know, we want to be stuck
This
in
is
Nehru's
it.
metrics.
This is it.
This,
It
okay.
was not Modi, it was TCA Anand.
Yeah.
TCA Anand is a well-known statistician. He is the one who changed the method of
So
calculation.
compare
This is
old to old
completely
and new to
normal.
new. You
Every country
can't
does
come on
it. So
national TV
the
and
only way
stuff.
Tehseen Poonawalla
Please
can say
pass
is
what
by some
you're-
old method of
Please
calculating
pass what you're
GDP.
consuming.
Now, viewers, look, let me just hold this up. This is NDTV 2014, talking about India is one of the economies in the world's fragile five. This is the NDTV which the
Compare
Congress
Modi
swears
and
by
Manmohan
the
Singh.
whole
UK
day.
won and Modi won.
And at least in that time, my friends, the NDTV channel was thought Congress party. And this is all here. The recent turmoil in emerging markets has produced a new expression, the fragile five, and India is one of them. The new term, coined by a little-known research analyst at Morgan Stanley last summer, identifies Turkey, Brazil, India, South Africa, and Indonesia as economies which have become too dependent on skittish foreign investment to finance their growth ambitions. And Dr. Ranganathan, I mean, why are we dancing around this poll? The fact is that everyone told them, whether it was Montek Singh Ahluwalia or even the great Dr. Manmohan Singh, don't do this, my friends, don't go back to that OPS system, it's going to ruin the country.
Rahul, before I come to the thrust of my thesis, I have to say this. Prasidhi Jha, Dr. Basu is a celebrated, reputed economist. Even if Tehseen, my good friend, were to disagree with what he's saying, there is a method to say it. You cannot be rude and disrespectful to someone just because Prasenjit Jha exposed and completely took Rahul Gandhi to the cleaners in Singapore. Doesn't mean that all the Congresses have suddenly become more of economists than he is. So if he is wrong, you bring the facts on the table, and out here he's absolutely right. Now, let me come to the topic that we are discussing. Rahul, I speak as a layman because already Prasenjit Jha is there as an economist here. The easiest promises to keep are the ones backed with certain debt. And to the politician, it doesn't matter who is found holding the can as long as you kick it down the road. I'm a supporter of the welfare state. We would wipe out tens, possibly hundreds of millions of Indians if we weren't a welfare state. But I'm of the opinion that welfare state is only possible through capitalism. The state cannot earn money through socialism and spend it on socialism, which is what is happening in this country for decades, and it is simply unsustainable. The second and more important point is, unless we draw a line between freebies and welfarism, we are staring down a bottomless abyss, Rahul, and through which there is no escape. But I think one can draw a line, even though politicians don't want you to. To me, welfarism is where a state gives free health, education, tap water, toilets, gas cylinders, vaccines, housing. Freebie is one where the state gives away in cash or kind for the purposes of either appeasement or for such acts that go against national interests. Every party is indulging in it, sadly. Farm law repeals, MSP, government ads, free pilgrimages and OPS. The states have now a collective debt of 75 lakh crores, Rahul. Who will pay this? We aren't America. We can't keep on printing money. America is at a debt of $35 trillion. We won't be spared. Rahul, Himachal is a textbook case and I'm glad you mentioned it. Let me explain. Please give me a couple of minutes. It's very important. In the early years of the UPA, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and his economic advisor Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia, both economists of high repute, concluded that India can no longer afford the current pension system or it will go bankrupt. As a result, they junked it and implemented a new pension scheme called the NPS or National Pension Scheme. The NPS replaced the OPS. Under the OPS, the state gave the entire pension 50% of the last drawn salary, while under the NPS, the state contributed 14%, while the employee contributed 10%. Besides, pension under the OPS was not taxed. In 2022, another economist of very high repute, Rahul Gandhi, promised the people of Himachal that if the Congress is voted to power, it will junk the NPS, the pension system that the Congress itself had implemented, and revert to the OPS, despite Montek Singh Ahluwalia publicly warning on record that the states that reintroduce the OPS will go bankrupt. OPS is the biggest revdi, quote unquote. The Congress won, as Himachal has 1.6 lakh government employees and 1.3 lakh pensioners. And as a result, Himachal is on its way to bankruptcy, if already it isn't. According to the RBI, reverting to the OPS is costing the state 5 times more than it had continued with NPS. Himachal's tax revenue in 2023-24 was 13,000 crores. It has budgeted 10,000 crores on pensions for 2024-25.
Yep. 77%
of Himachal's tax revenue is going to be spent on pensions. Himachal debt, meanwhile, is soared to 94,992 crores, double of what it was 6 years ago. Himachal's debt to GDP is already 44%. It will rise soon to that of Punjab, that has reverted to the OPS under the AAP and whose debt to GDP is 53%. States are cumulatively spending close to 5 lakh crores every year just on pensions. Reverting to the OPS will ruin the states. Generations to come would suffer. But does that matter to the current generation of politicians? I ask you all, just 30 seconds. I don't blame the politicians. I never have. I never do. They are hypocrites. But when the Supreme Court can come in and deliberate on the farm reforms and laws, stay them. Why is it silent on the dreaded old pension scheme? Something that both the Congress and the BJP governments of yesterday's had not only proposed to get rid of, but actually managed to get rid of. Just 30 seconds. The pension expenditure, Rahul, has risen from 2% of revenue receipts in 1980 to 22% now. How on earth are we allowing this beggar's belief? The sad fact is that we are cursed with electing either louts or Luddites. Right now, the Himachal CM is just asking his MLAs to forsake 2 months' salary. It's going to be a year's salary very soon.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Dr. Ranganathan, he might end up giving you a pension also for the valuable insights that you have given. Hopefully, he'll listen to you. But look, I just want to quickly, before I bring in Guru Paswan, I just want to quickly put some facts on the table. I'm going to take you back, viewers, to an article that appeared in a magazine called the India Today, January 14, 2023. And it began by saying Himachal Pradesh government employees danced to joy on Friday. Danced to joy. And there are shots of them dancing away. When CM Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu announced the restoration of the old pension scheme, the plan is slated to benefit around 1.36 lakh employees who were contributing their share to the national pension scheme. Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Punjab are other states where the OPS has been rolled out by the state governments of their government employees. Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan have both been led by the Congress. Now, very importantly, the Himachal CM during his recent Dharamsala visit claimed that budgetary provisions had already been made to restore the OPS, which was discontinued by the then Veerbhadra Singh government on April 1, 2004. Underline these words. He claimed that budgetary provisions had already been made. He goes on to say, affordability of OBS expenditure will be achieved through financial discipline and cutting down expenses. So how is it that we are here now? If he had made these budgetary provisions, how is it that we are here now? Tehseen Poonawalla, mull that question in your head, come up with an answer. I'll quickly go to, no, he said it himself, that we would be able to afford it. And those dancing, let me bring in Guru Prakash Paswan, you mull the question.
Somebody who's given lie numbers on national TV. He's lied.
1 second, don't say all of that. Tehseen, in Fragile 5, the economy was there.
Take me to court if
Why would those numbers be in any case, why are we bothered about Manmohan Singh? Manmohan Singh told you not to go into OPS. Forget it. Yes, okay, PK Basu lied. Let's go ahead. Forget it. Fine.
About numbers.
It doesn't matter. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Manmohan Singh is not the chief minister. 1 second. Manmohan Singh came and went 10 years ago. It's over.
I do not lie. I do not lie. I don't think I can let any channelist appear on national TV and accuse me of lying.
Exactly.
He is the one lying.
Absolutely.
I assure you.
But let's not take the bait tonight.
That I have pointed
But let's not take the bait tonight. But Mr. Basu,
factual.
do not take the bait tonight.
We are here.
This is an
attempt
attempt.
To talk about the old pension scheme.
1 second. This is an attempt. This is an attempt. 1 second. I just want to come back into this debate, please. Let's not get sidetracked.
All that the Congress does is divert.
1 second. Let's not.
From where
Okay, Mr. Basu, Mr. Poonawalla, I need you guys to calm down for 30 seconds because we are not going to take this bait. We are going to stick to the subject. My question is this to Tehseen Poonawalla, and I will come back to him after Mr. Paswan has spoken. The question is, if Mr. Sukhu assured us all, and I'm quoting him, affordability of OPS expenditure will be achieved through financial discipline and cutting down expenses, and that budgetary provisions have already been made to restore the OPS, then how are we at this place? How is it that those dancing employees are today crying? Now, Mr. Paswan, I want to ask you, the Congress constantly says you choked them. You choked them in Karnataka, you choked them in Himachal. I want you to respond to that.
No, Rahul, I think our dear friend Tehseen, his passion tonight is something which is very interesting. But I'm sure you are aware of the fact that Tehseen has a personal interest and personal investment in Himachal Pradesh, where he likes to spend the summers in Delhi. So I think we are all very well aware of the fact. But the point is this. When my friend Tehseen Poonawalla talks about attack on the federal structure, I think this is beyond my comprehension. Let me cite you an example, a social impact example. There are employees of Rogi Kalyan Samiti. There are staff of Indira Gandhi Medical College and Hospital who have gone on an indefinite strike. There is no essential health services available for the citizens of Himachal Pradesh. Where will they go? Where will they go for the primary health center? If there is an emergency tomorrow, there is absolutely no option, no alternative available for the citizens of Himachal Pradesh. This is the model of the Congress government. This is the Rahul Gandhi model. This is beyond my comprehension. Come to the second point. Mr. Rahul Gandhi will go across the country. SC, ST, OBC, SC, ST, OBC. And you have very rightly pointed out, Rahul, that this problem, this financial crisis has negatively and disproportionately impacted the SC, ST and the marginalized communities of Himachal Pradesh. Look at the scholarship, it has went down. Look at the social sector expenditure, it has went down. Look at the infrastructure investment, it has went down. Look at the job creation and the job losses, it has gone up among the SC, ST and the marginalized communities. The second example, Rahul, which we have to understand, pensioners are completely dependent and are completely reliant on their pensions. When the pension is not coming, there are more than 1.5 lakh pensioners, Rahul. Let us just process that. 1.5 lakh pensioners dependent on that money for their essential medicine, for their food, for their rent, for their electricity. There is a human angle to this crisis, which my friend Tehseen must understand and appreciate. It is not about Fragile 5. It is not about the top 5. It is about the human angle. It is about the essential health services. It is about the SC, ST and the marginalized communities. It is about our senior citizens facing the wrath of this financial crisis. Who is accountable?
Who is accountable?
There has to be some answerability.
Modi is always as usual accountable.
Rahul.
Promise koi kare, Modi has to give the answers. Now, Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla, let me come back to you. 1 second, Mr. Basu, 1 second. I can. One second. Dr. Ranganathan is also showing things. One second. One second.
Yes,
Dr.
yes,
Ranganathan,
yes.
you're back to flashing. You're flashing me once again, please. Give me 30 seconds. I want to bring in Mr. Poonawalla. 1 second. 1 second. We'll come to you. I'll just come to you. Give me 30 seconds, please, to borrow your phrase. Now, Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla, I didn't make that promise. It was Sukhu who made the promise to say that, look, budgetary allocations have been made and we are going to be very responsible. Now, 1.5 years later, why are you crying? Why are you at this space and this spot? Just answer this.
Perfect. So let me just answer this. Do I want your viewers to know the average growth rate for Manmohan Singh was 8.2 was 6.4 for Modi, 10 years. Now let's come to this. The problem in Himachal, which nobody's answering, nobody, please pass what you are consuming. The point is, no. You make it personal, I'll make it personal. Don't make it personal with me. Nonsense and all. Don't do this language with me on national TV. Be very clear about it, Mr.
Today, Mr. Poonawalla doesn't have much of an answer. I'm only asking you, did Mr. Sukhu...
Let's talk about Himachal. Why are you going on to...
No, 1 second. Did Mr. Sukhu...
I would like to talk about the old pension scheme, please, if he doesn't interrupt me. Look, the problem in Himachal, and nobody's addressing the elephant in the room, is very clearly the 13,000 crores due from the union government. A. B. The old pension scheme is not the reason for any crisis anywhere simply because the old pension scheme before 2003 was the old pension scheme.
My God.
Those employees after 2003 who have taken the old pension scheme will only get their payment in 2020, 10 years from now, 2033. None of them are getting the provisional payment was 300 crores, which was budgeted for. So it is not about the old pension scheme. How much is it after
viewers.
Come on, Rahul. This is so unfair.
You're not answering my question. Please answer my question.
Let him speak. Let him explain. Let him explain the contorted logic. Let him.
Pass what you're consuming. Now look, the old pension scheme will only mature after 10 years. None of you are letting me talk. Is this some effort? The old pension scheme will only mature after 10 years. Before 2003, everybody was on the old pension scheme. Between 2003 and now, those who retired, a total budgetary provision is 300 crores already done by Sukhu. 10 years from now, when the first lot comes out in the old pension scheme that has now come in, which is now they've reverted to the old pension scheme, is 1,000 crores. But what the centre owes the state is 2,000 crores on the PF and other funds.
I've run out of time. And Tehseen Poonawalla hasn't answered that question. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, you're showing me something.
Yes.
He doesn't answer.
I object to such rude language, very unbecoming of my good friend Tehseen, using against a celebrated and reputed economist. Now, Tehseen, please don't interrupt me. And
I don't, but he said nonsense.
Tehseen, now who is interrupting? I
apologize.
When Prasenjit Das said India was a fragile 5 economy, Tehseen said it is because of the first GDP that when Modi government came in, they made India fragile 5 before 2014. This is a headline from Financial Times. This is no friend of Modi. In fact, it's called Modi all sorts of names. And here, the whole article is about India being a fragile 5, and this is March 2014. Before even Modi came.
Yes.
So Tehseen is exposing you live on television.
No, it's okay, but why are we going back to the past? My only point is, viewers, look, Mr. Sukhu knew the state of affairs in Himachal when he inherited the treasury. He said, OPS is going to be something that I can fulfill because there is a budgetary allocation. It's a pension scheme. Salaries also I'll be able to spend, even though the spend has now increased to about 46% of the entire budget. But I'll be able to manage it. And with a little bit of discipline, I'll be able to make these commitments. And guess what, viewers? The employees of the government were dancing. And a large number of them voted for the Congress. Today, viewers, they're all running to grab their handkerchiefs because they don't know whether they should cry or not. The fundamental point is, viewers, if a chief minister says I can do it, when Manmohan Singh, when Montek Singh, all of them said don't do it, if he says I can do it, then he has to walk the talk, viewers. He's failed and now he's finding scapegoats. And even if the government gave 13,000 crores tomorrow, blow up, it won't make a difference. Because that will go to servicing the debt that is already accruing as we are speaking. Anyhow, viewers, a large number of you voted for the Congress party in these states. Ask yourself these questions, evaluate their performance, see if they're actually being good to what they said, if they've been able to balance the books, or if they're going to start raising taxes in the next few months so that you can bail them out. Think about that, viewers. Think about how it all comes back to haunt. But I need to move on because Kangana Ranaut's movie Emergency, at the center of a massive row after Sikh organization opposed its release, got no relief from the Bombay High Court today. This means the movie will miss its September 6 release date. The movie, based on the emergency imposed by the Indira Gandhi government in 1975, ran into trouble after the Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, the apex religious body for Sikhs, alleged that it misrepresents Sikhs and sought a ban. Ms. Ranaut later said the censor board had put on hold the certificate issued to her film. Sources in the government said some religious organizations have raised concerns about the film. Religious sentiments cannot be hurt. There is some sensitive content in the movie, unquote. This is what the source told us, adding that the centre was seriously looking at the concerns. 2 Sikh organizations have filed the PIL against the movie in the Madhya Pradesh High Court. The apex religious body for Sikhs alleged that it misrepresents Sikhs and sought a ban. In its response, the censor board told the court that the movie had not been issued a certificate. The Madhya Pradesh High Court then disposed of the petition. While in its response, the CBFC told the court that the movie had not been issued a certificate. Arguing the matter in court, Zee's counsel, the makers of the movie, senior advocate Venkatesh Dhond, contradicted the government body. Dhond told the bench of Justice B.P. Kolabawala and Justice Firdosh Poniwala that CBFC informed Manikarnika Films, which is a label owned by Kangana Ranaut, on August 8 that the film is suitable for unrestricted public exhibition subject to some modifications. Modifications were made. On August 14, he said the filmmakers submitted the film to CBFC with the modifications. Viewers, that's what has been said by the counsel of the filmmakers. Now, while the Bombay High Court said that the Madhya Pradesh High Court's order was based on the centre's submission that the film isn't certified yet and that it is under examination, it did also give Kangana reason to hope. It said, quote, once the makers comply with the modifications required by CBFC and the CD with modifications is sealed successfully, we have to presume that the CBFC applied its mind and thereafter issued the email to Manikarnika that the CD of the film is successfully sealed, unquote. Now, viewers, what's going on? The centre, basically, viewers, is the issuing authority. The maker and the starer in this film is a BJP MP. The BJP MP is underwriting the fact that, look, this film is not hurting anybody. Yet, the government doesn't want to pass this movie because the ecosystem, the Congress, many parties are jumping down the throat of the government saying that you want to malign the Sikh community. These are sensitive issues, viewers. But I want to ask Guru Prakash Paswan, by this yardstick, Mr. Paswan, and this question has to be posed, by this yardstick, many communities said that, for example, the Kashmir files was problematic. You went ahead with the Kashmir files, you stood by it. What is so objectionable about this movie, The Emergency, that Kangana Ranaut has to suffer in silence?
No, Rahul, I don't think that's the case. The government is evaluating the position and at an appropriate time we'll take a call. But now just to make
what
a
is
decision,
the appropriate time?
Announce that...
no, did no one kill Indira Gandhi? Is it not true?
Rahul, Rahul, I think about the emergency, everyone played a role. I am live from Bihar and Bihar was the epicenter of the movement against emergency, and Bharatiya Jansangh, the precursor of the Bharatiya Janata Party, played an active role in it. So there is absolutely no point that the BJP is undermining the emergency in any which manner. But we have to take into account the concerns, and I am sure the government is evaluating its position. It's assessing the ins and the pros and the cons of it. At an appropriate time, a decision will be taken. And I don't see any point in further...
No determinate time, appropriate time. Appropriate time, viewers, let me tell you, 3 decisions that were rolled back, and we are going to be waiting for an appropriate time before they are brought on. Number 1, the 3 farm laws gone. appropriate time hasn't come for it to be brought back. The Waqf board, appropriate time, God alone knows when. They say next session of parliament, hopefully. UCC never been an appropriate time for that. Then you had, of course, several other decisions, and viewers, might I just tell you, the CA, appropriate time for the CA to be notified was 5 years. By then Kangana Ranaut will really begin to resemble Indira Gandhi. She won't even need to put on all these prosthetics. Let me tell you this, viewers. Here we are in a situation where the government is not standing up. And this is a fundamental question, viewers, because it appears to me, and you read this on Twitter, and I hate that media in any case because you have all sorts of lumpers making all sorts of statements, but one or two of them made some sense the other day. They said that the government might be with the BJP, but the ecosystem runs the country. Isn't this what is said, Dr. Ranganathan and Advaita Kala? Dr. Ranganathan, go first, yeah.
Rahul, it would have been correct on a lot of occasions, but in this case it isn't. The thing to blame is not the ecosystem, system or ye sarkar baad mein blame karna. The thing to blame is the current Congress government at the center. The Congress Prime Minister, Mr. The BJP Prime Minister, there is no difference at all, so pardon my confusion. Look, there are a couple of issues out here. First of all, it is absolutely disgraceful that the BJP is dilly-dallying on this, and I don't expect them to do any better because, as I said, when I can be confused about who is at the center, Congress or the BJP, it's not about the ecosystem. It's about who is running the government. Number one, on censorship. Rahul, as a free speech absolutist, my stand is well known. I am against any kind of censorship. The job of the CBFC is to give certification to films based on their content, A, U or U by A, not to demand cuts or censor. To censor any film, book, play, show is a disgrace. Why do I say this? Because censoring or curbing freedom of expression is always a subjective decision. Always. What is offensive to you might not be offensive to me. Who is to decide what will cause offense, what will offend religious sensibilities, what is pornographic? Let me give you an example. Say there's a film made tomorrow that simply has a man reciting verses. These verses are polytheists, i.e. Hindus are the worst of creatures, 98.6. Do not marry polytheist women unless they convert 2:21. Do not take disbelievers as friends unless they convert and kill them if they refuse 489. These are verbatim quotes, not interpretations or contextual. So tell me, should the CBFT decide that all this talk of killing and enslaving those who don't convert to another religion is hateful and censor this film? This country will blow up if that happens. So you have subjectivity written in.
Yes.
This is an absolute disgrace. And the BJP is acting just like Congress if it wasn't Congress to begin with.
It's not a censor board, it's only a certification board. Advaita Kala, what's happening here?
Ideally, I think it should be a certification board, but the way it works out really in the real world is not quite like that. You have a situation wherein there is actually violence and even theatre owners have rights, even distributors have rights, even people who work in these theatres have rights. And unfortunately, we've seen far too many incidents where this has happened. I mean, my friend Madhur Bhandarkar and his film Indu Sarkar, he was held hostage for a while. So this is the problem. And then it just snowballs into something completely irrational. I hate to say it, but we just don't have the maturity, even as a viewing public, to be able to appreciate a certification. We don't. And let's be honest, this is an unfair system. Look at Netflix and other OTT platforms. They can put anything out there without any disclaimers and get away with it because in those cases, people view this from the comfort and the safety of their home. But when it comes to public exhibition, like with cinema, then there are all these rules and layers. So what are we going to do? Are we just going to transition then to OTTs and not have film releases in movie theaters and then just write and do and shoot whatever we want because there's no control on that medium? I think we're heading there.
Well, look, I don't know, but this is an absolute chickening out of, a corner that quite fairly, Tehseen Poonawalla, the government has no business to be in.
That's true, Rahul. And my views are on this matter absolutely like Dr. Anand Ranganathan. If you don't like a news channel, change the channel. You don't like a book, shut the book. You don't like a piece of art, get out of the gallery. You don't like a movie, walk out of the theater. You also have the right to peacefully ask to boycott it or not watch it. You do not have the right to create violence, and the government has no right to censor. I am against censorship. Advaita is right. In the real world, the government does censor. But look, in 2014, for your channel has an award ceremony, and I was invited there. And Kangana was there, and the late Arun Jaitley ji was there. And Arun Jaitley ji promised that when the government changed, that time there was the mood that the government would change. He said, "Look, we will not allow this to happen." That was a promise made publicly on your channel. Now you're censoring you, and it's not about Kangana. I stood up even for Vivek Agnihotri. I stood up for Kerala.
Yeah.
You cannot censor.
I think we need to have a uniform approach. You cannot have selectivity. I just need to break this story, Dr. Ranganathan. Sorry, but I really need to. Tensions have flared in Jainur, located in the Komaram Bhim Asifabad district in Telangana, as tribal groups reacted violently following an alleged rape and attempted murder of a tribal woman. In a fierce protest, reportedly groups set several houses on fire, turning the Jainur agency area into a battleground. The pictures of the victim, who was found abandoned on the side of a street, are too disturbing to show. We don't want to show them. These are the pictures of the violence. Swastika Das is with us. Swastika, what's happening there? This story not really being put out there by mainstream media, but it has snowballed, hasn't it, this issue? When did this horrible, ghastly incident take place, and what is the violence? Can you describe it? Swastika, can you hear me? Are you there? Okay, we're having a few problems going across to Swastika Das, but fundamentally, viewers, the violence that we are seeing has broken out because the tribals there are very upset at the fact that the state administration, it is of course a Congress-ruled state, has not taken their concerns seriously. They want the government to assure that tribal women will be secure. Over the last few months, there have been several cases of attacks, gratuitous violence against tribal women. I think Swastika Das is there. What's happening on the ground, Swastika? Has this situation been brought under control? When did this dastardly incident take place?
Well, first thing first, the situation is under control, but it is volatile because of the communal tensions that had broken out earlier today. The incident happened on the 31st of August. This is an alleged gang rape and murder attempt on a woman from a tribal community, and the accused has now been identified, arrested. He is an auto driver and goes by the name of Bull. Now, the cause of the incident also riled up the tribal community, who had called for a protest today, and while they were staging protests, violence broke out when there was stone pelting and arson when some religious structures were allegedly attacked, and following which members of another community also came into the picture, and there was an intense situation, following which the police also had to lathi charge and bring the situation under control. Like I mentioned, continues to remain volatile, but as of now, there is a lot of security that has been beefed up in the area after Asaduddin Owaisi too, in fact, intervened in the matter and called for protection in madrasas, because it's being reported that madrasas were also attacked while the communal tensions were flaring up.
4 days. How did this story only sort of attract everyone's attention 4 days later? Was it because the tribal community there felt that justice wasn't being done, or the pace of investigation was too slow? What's happened?
Well, certainly the pace of the investigation is a question, because the incident happened on the 31st. It is only on the 2nd that an FIR was filed on the 1st. On the 2nd is when the investigation started. Initially, the rape angle wasn't getting confirmed, and that was under investigation. Even the accused was also on the run. And the driver, there were some members of the community, tribal community, who came forth and helped the police understand what exactly is the situation, and based on that, because of the delay, perhaps that's why they were riled up.
Very quickly, has the CM responded? Very quickly.
Not yet, but the local officials are on the ground and they say that the state government is also in the know.
5 days, viewers. It's been almost 5 days. The state chief minister is silent. Those are the pictures. Volatile situation. No one from the Congress High Command, anywhere from the senior leadership, has either visited or come out and empathize with the tribal community. Viewers, we're leaving it at this.
While putting out content on the OTT platform in the future. Netflix's latest web series and filmmaker Anubhav Sinha's IC814, The Kandahar Hijack, has sparked a massive controversy. Using hashtags boycott Netflix, boycott Bollywood and IC814, many ex-users have shared posts claiming that the makers changed the names of the hijackers to Shankar and Bhola to allegedly protect the terrorists who belong to a certain community. This series on the 1999 hijacking of an Indian Airlines flight by terrorists has now been accused of distorting facts, whitewashing terrorism and offending public sentiments. The massive uproar has led to the Indian government to summon the content head of Netflix India. Let's just tell you about the incident hijacking of IC814. Indian Airlines flight IC814 was hijacked on December 24, 1999. The plane that was carrying 154 passengers and crew was hijacked by 5 terrorists 40 minutes after it took off from Nepal's capital, Delhi. The hijackers, identified as members of the Pakistan-based terrorist outfit Harkat-ul-Mujahideen, had diverted the plane to Kandahar in Afghanistan that was then under the control of the Taliban. The crisis, which lasted 8 long days, during which these terrorists demanded the release of 3 high-profile militants, Maulana Masood Azhar, Ahmad Omar Saeed Sheikh and Mushtaq Ahmad Zarkar. The Indian government, under immense pressure to save the lives of hostages, ultimately agreed to release those 3 militants. Former External Affairs Minister Jaswant Singh, in fact, had personally escorted the terrorists to Kandahar, a move that still remains, to date, the most controversial. So what is the IC814 row all about? It's a series that has been released on Netflix and it's based on the real-life hijacking in 1999. And this series chronicles the horrific experience of the passengers and the crew members and the challenges that they faced by the government as their flight was diverted to multiple locations before finally ending up in Taliban-controlled Kandahar in Afghanistan. The hijackers in this series are depicted with the code names Chief, Doctor, Burger, Bhola and Shankar. However, it's the use of the names Bhola and Shankar that hasn't really gone down well with the viewers, which has now triggered this massive controversy. In fact, they contend that the show should have highlighted the fact that the hijackers were 5 Muslim terrorists and 2 of them in fact had used Hindu aliases. Netizens have accused the filmmaker Anubhav Sinha of deliberately distorting facts and has even labelled his work as propaganda. Now, several top BJP leaders have also raised objections and questions to the portrayal of events in this series. BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya has said that the hijackers were dreaded terrorists who acquired aliases to hide their Muslim identities. He in fact posted on the social media platform X saying, and I quote, "Filmmaker Anubhav Sinha legitimized their criminal intent by furthering their non-Muslim names. Decades later, people will think Hindus had hijacked IC814. Well, joining him was former Union Minister and BJP leader Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
I vividly remember IC814. I was very aware of that accident and very involved in following that. Every man and woman in India and indeed in South Asia knows that hijack of IC814 from Kathmandu was committed, that act was committed by Pakistan's ISI-backed terrorists. Now, nobody thinks that there were some people from India who did the hijacking. So how the people have Hindu names in that movie, I don't know. But I am very, very happy that the INV Ministry and the Government of India has taken cognizance of this and has...
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network.
Co-powered by.
Well, there was stiff opposition and criticism to the depiction of these terrorists in a softer light and humanizing them as well. The series is adapted from the book Flight into Fear, the Captain's Story, that has been written by journalists Srinjoy Chaudhary and Devi Sharan, the captain of the hijacked flight. This series stars Vijay Varma, Nasiruddin Shah, Pankaj Kapoor, Manoj Pava, Arvind Swamy, Anupam Tripathi, Dia Mirza, Patra Lekha, Amrita Puri, Divyanu Bhattacharya and Kumud Mishra in key and very significant roles. Amid the growing controversy, the government has taken note of this public outcry. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has now summoned Monica Shergill, who is the content head of Netflix India, to address this matter. The ministry has also told Netflix to keep religious sentiments in mind. Netflix team has assured that content will now be reviewed and in future content on platforms will be in acceptance with sentiments of our nation. Netflix has also assured that all security concerns will be addressed in the future as well. They will also review all the content and will revert at the earliest. According to sources, while the government has no immediate plans to ban the series, officials from Netflix, its content head, have been now asked to find a way to resolve this controversy. The ministry is also likely to summon the filmmaker Anubhav Sinha, who is the maker of the series. For now, Netflix has given full assurance to be mindful of national security and children's sensitivity while putting out content on the OTT platform in the future. Netflix's latest web series and filmmaker Anubhav Sinha's IC-814, the Kandahar hijack, has sparked a massive controversy. Using hashtags boycott Netflix, boycott Bollywood and IC-814, many ex-users have shared posts claiming that the makers changed the names of the hijackers to Shankar and Bhola to allegedly protect the terrorists who belong to a certain community. This series on the 1999 hijacking of an Indian Airlines flight by terrorists has now been accused of distorting facts, whitewashing terrorism and offending public sentiments. The massive uproar has led to the Indian government to summon the content head of Netflix India. Let's just tell you about the incident hijacking of IC-814. Indian Airlines flight IC-814 was hijacked on December 24, 1999. The plane that was carrying 154 passengers and crew was hijacked by 5 terrorists 40 minutes after it took off from Nepal's capital Kathmandu and was bound for Delhi. The hijackers, identified as members of the Pakistan-based terrorist outfit Harkat-ul-Mujahideen, had diverted the plane to Kandahar in Afghanistan that was then under the control of the Taliban. The crisis, which lasted 8 long days, during which these terrorists demanded the release of 3 high-profile militants, Maulana Masood Azhar, Ahmad Omar Saeed Sheikh and Mushtaq Ahmad Zarkar. The Indian government, under immense pressure to save the lives of hostages, ultimately agreed to release those 3 militants. Former External Affairs Minister Jaswant Singh, in fact, had personally escorted the terrorists to Kandahar, a move that still remains, to date, the most controversial. So what is the IC-814 row all about? It's a series that has been released on Netflix and it's based on the real-life hijacking in 1999. And this series chronicles the horrific experience of the passengers and the crew members and the challenges that they faced by the government as their flight was diverted to multiple locations before finally ending up in Taliban-controlled Kandahar in Afghanistan. The hijackers in this series are depicted with the code names Chief, Doctor, Burger, Bhola and Shankar. However, it's the use of the names Bhola and Shankar that hasn't really gone down well with the viewers, which has now
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. Sachin Khilari has won silver in the men's shot put F46 for Bharat's 21st medal at the Paralympics in Paris. The 34-year-old Indian para-athlete secured the Paralympic medal in style with a nation record of 16.32 meters in his second attempt. In a remarkable set of achievements, Bharat has broken its historic medal tally from Tokyo Paralympic Games, collecting 21 medals comprising 3 gold, 8 silver and 10 bronze so far. We're still counting and expecting more medals, ladies and gentlemen. A thrilling late evening rush of 4 medals this Wednesday. This achievement surpasses previous record of 19 medals during the Tokyo Games 3 years ago. Meanwhile, Harvinder Singh has progressed to the next round with a sensational 7-3 win in the men's individual recurve open 1:16 elimination game with a win over Seng Lung Hui. Moving on from sports, the World Bank has raised its growth forecast for our economy to 7% for the current financial year, that is FY25, up from an earlier projection of 6.6% according to a statement. This revision